All right, so we are back for part 2 of our latest episode featuring Jake Gould here. Thank you so much for joining us again, Jake. Definitely was fun talking NFL things and boxing and all that for part 1. Make sure you guys tune into to that episode. The link will be here on the screen or something like that. I'll get the editing right going forward. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, follow us online, IG, TikTok, section.300, Twitter, section 300 sports. That's your boy G along with Alec as well. I'm definitely glad to be back. And it was a fun first part of the show. We talked about all these positives and the NFL and boxing. And now it gets a little rough. It gets a little rough because we're talking basketball and we're talking about our Lakers. And it has not been as fun as we would have hoped so far. Again, as me and Alex had talked about a few times, I had hoped that a switch would have turned on post-Christmas. And it kind of has been turned on by some guys. LeBron's looked good still. AD has shown flashes, but we've yet to get everybody in sync as a unit. And yeah, it's been continued to be a rough season for our guys so far. That's my view on it so far. Jake, what do you think of the Lakers and how the season has unfolded now, just about 50 games in?
I mean, it felt almost as if, anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I mean, in terms of guys not being able to play together, COVID issues early in the season. You use your mid-level exception for a guy in Kendrick Nunn who
not stepped foot on the court.
He's not going to play this season.
He's played none, no games. It's been like a none, like nothing. So we've got none out of him. So I feel like it's tough. Like the Lakers were built to be, you bring in Russell Westbrook as a request to LeBron and AD, because I mean, as they know, I mean, they're not stupid when it comes to basketball. They know their stuff. Mm-hmm. They know that Russell Westbrook can play the game of basketball. I've seen it myself. We've all seen it. He's won an MVP. Right. He's not the same player. We know that. Right. His contract, it makes him, it makes
harder palatable when he struggles. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Harder to palate when he struggles. 100%. Yeah. But we know just how good of a basketball player he can be by pushing the pace in transition, by distributing the basketball. And I think it's been more of an indictment, this Lakers team, on some of their, their veteran misses that they've had. Bazemore just kind of struggled a little bit. I mean, it was good to see him actually kind of pick up his confidence in that game where basically everybody was out.
Against Charlotte. Yeah.
Charlotte, yeah. But I mean, Dwight's fallen out of love with Frank Vogel in the rotation. I mean, DeAndre Jordan, that was the ultimate head scratcher from the beginning, because I was like, dude,
you should be last year.
Yeah, that was tough, because I was like, okay, Ariza, I'm always going to love Ariza for the steal, for the way he, helped guide the Lakers to the title, back in the Powell and Kobe days. Mm-hmm. But I mean, to rely on him to be like, that's our guy that's going to allow us to go small. That's a lot. And it's a lot to just be like, that's who we're going to rely on.
36-year-old or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. All these guys, 35, 36 plus.
So, yeah, I mean, and now LeBron has missed some games. So it actually has made sense now to where you go, okay, well, why did the Lakers go get Russ? Well, because, we've seen the injuries from Anthony Davis. We've seen the injuries. I mean, LeBron is, in his Laker tenure, has been the least indestructible he's ever been.
Yeah.
He's getting up there in age. He's played a lot of minutes. And if you add all this time he's played in the playoffs, it's more than his, career seasons played indicates. Mm-hmm. So it's just been kind of just a giant dumpster fire of everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think this team is as bad as it's been. I think our last full kind of deep dive into the Lakers, I said they're just mid, and their record shows it. They were right around 500. Now I think they're 3 games below 500 right now.
24 and 27, I believe.
Yeah, and they just lost 3 winnable games. I mean, the Sixers, I guess, debatable, but definitely could have won that Charlotte game with Russ going nuclear. And then Atlanta, they blew a 10-point lead going into the 4th.
Frustrating.
So those are very winnable games. And if you're a team with championship aspirations, you should be able to stay afloat while your best player is out when you have AD and Russ still on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
So to lose those types of games, I think are kind of inexcusable. And there's plenty of blame to go around. Like we've talked extensively about how Russell Westbrook has been scapegoated this season. While he has had his struggles for sure,
Mm-hmm.
he has not been the only reason nor the main reason why they've struggled this year. And there's been plenty of blame to go around. And I think Frank Vogel more of late has started to frustrate me, just how he's utilized guys. Or hasn't utilized guys. I think the rotations have become more of an issue of late. But you can point at Pelinka as well with some of the roster construction, as far as not having enough wings, like athletic wing players on the roster. We signed guys who we thought, like we talked about Kendrick Nunn, were going to be huge factors for us.
Mm-hmm.
That just kind of haven't panned out. I hope we weren't expecting Carmelo to be like that guy to get us over the hump, because that's the one you don't want to play more than like 20 minutes a game at this point in his career.
Yeah.
So saying all that, I still believe like there is a team in here that's like good enough to at least make it out of the first round of the playoffs, just because of the pure talent of LeBron, AD, and Russ alone.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they have to find the right personnel to put on the floor, like with them. And I think Frank Vogel still like hasn't figured out like how to maximize those three on the floor together. And part of that is we haven't had the continuity. Like Jake said, we've had COVID, we've had injuries to both LeBron and AD. Russ is the only one that's played almost every game this season for Lakers. So I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there, but we still haven't found a way to maximize the three guys when they're on the floor together. And I think that's going to be like the one thing that we need to figure out come playoff time. Because it's looking like right now they might end up in a play-in situation, and I'm hoping we can avoid that. I'm hoping we can get a seed, but it's not looking the greatest right now.
Yeah, I again was hoping, my thing early on this season, and it has continued to this day, was just to win the games you're supposed to win. Like I just hoped, even through injuries and all of that we would just at least find a way to, even through all the roster construction we're trying to figure out and all the lineups that we're trying to get right, that we would just still at the end of the game find ways to win games. And we haven't even been able to do that, and that's why we're in the playing position rings that we're in. And we saw that, like you also mentioned last week. So yeah, just I know this team is going to continue to have its injury things, and COVID is going to may pop up and all of that. But just I hope this team, at least for these last 30 games, can start. I think starting this week would be very helpful. I think there's a game tonight.
The Blazers tonight, and that's a game they should win.
Just win the games you're supposed to win.
I got the Clippers as well.
Yeah, and then we can start continuing to find tweaks and whatever necessary changes need to come along the way. So Russ is trying to not starting him. He's already has improved his play, but his things are clicking a little bit more. Malik Monk gets high at times. So yeah, if AD can stay on the court, or at least one of AD and LeBron can stay on the court, just start putting more W's on the board. Of course, that'd be very helpful. So looking at that, and then across the rest of the other teams, just this roster is not as hyped up as folks made it seem early on. And now we're trying to adjust. And my question back to you guys now, with I think it's 8 days before the trade deadline, is there a move you guys want to see made? I think I've asked you this before, Alec. But yeah, is there a move you guys see that realistically could be made, or just what you think we should do as this deadline approaches? Jake, I'll go to you first.
Man, well, so one of the things I try to, also tell people is I feel like when they talk about like the Lakers roster and like it was never really that good of a roster, and I'll go, yeah, it wasn't that great of a roster, but I always felt that they assembled this roster knowing it wasn't a finished product, and they brought in guys like Monk on such a cheap deal because Monk was like, I could see the this could be really good for my brand. This could be really good for me to play alongside LeBron. You get Nunn to sign on for like only $5.5 million at the mid-level exception, I believe was what it somewhere around that money, right? It felt like, okay, there were a lot of guards. Then you had your THT. It felt to me like they were like, okay, these are our tradable assets. Since we have 3 guys who are eating up the bulk of our roster, Melo's not going to get us anything at this point in terms of trade value. Dwight, DeAndre, Bazemore, maybe you could throw those guys some in there as filler, but it felt to me like this was built to be, okay, top heavy, schedule early on, pretty weak, win games, figure it out. Then once we approach February, maybe we're not the top seed in the West, but we're like 4 or 5. Then we cash in. Then we say, okay, this point, THT, we feel confident in Monk.
For your services.
Trade him today.
You take those guys and then you catch them in for a bigger wing because they were clearly had a backcourt strength there, but they didn't have the wings. They did not have the size of the wings, and it's exposed itself. The problem is they stumbled out of the gate with a terrible schedule.
Right.
They got hurt at all the wrong times. The schedule's getting harder, and they're still trying to figure out what lineups are going to help us win.
And AD wasn't AD to start either. Like, this has been a rejuvenated AD that we've got since he's just come back from injury.
Right.
He
Thank
looks
God.
more like his otherworldly self now. So that was a part of the struggle as well, too. Like, he still had some of the counting stats, but the impact on the floor was not there to start the season from AD.
Absolutely. Just the bounce. So you could see the bounce was not the same. Like from the bubble AD, like people want to talk about, like they tried to delegitimize the bubble. Even leading up to that, Anthony Davis was dominant. So maybe he's not shooting 40%, high 30s from the 3-point line, but like you still expect him to be, more capable from his mid-range game and his face-up game. But we're starting to see that resurgence, which I believe is a good sign. And then getting guys healthy, which it's not even as simple as that because it's not that simple to just get healthy.
Right.
So that's the tough part. But like, I still feel confident. Like, this team could, you start gelling at the right time. Hopefully they avoid the play-in, but I still think they could, win a playoff series in the first round or something like that. The West is not the same.
Right.
I think you just want to avoid Phoenix. Yeah. Probably avoid Golden State as well, too, because I think Golden State fully healthy, Lakers can't beat them. At this point, they certainly can't. But other than that, I don't fear anyone in the West other than those two. So I think if they can
for the Grizzlies?
Not in a 7-game series with healthy LeBron, AD, and Russ. No, I don't.
Okay.
I think they give them a good series. Like, they give them 6 or 7. But I don't think they can beat them 4 times.
Okay.
They just got to get performance from the shooters. Like, I think Monk, Monk has been a revelation because there was all this talk about the Lakers should have got Buddy Hield, right? Like everyone was saying Buddy Hield. Monk has outplayed Buddy Hield, and you still got Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's that, and Austin Reeves. Let's be real. He's actually had some of the best Laker lineups are him out there. I'm not saying you have to rely on him, but so like him being able to shoot. Like he's had his struggles, but like if you can get shooting performance, like it really helps a lot because the modern NBA, it's so much easier to beat a team that you shouldn't beat just by having a fluky game from downtown. So that's where in a 7 series, and that's what
player popping off like that.
So you want to get okay, Melo. Like I feel like Melo's a guy on a short leash or should be. Like you're not hitting your shots. You're getting this. You're surrendering baskets on the opposite side of the floor. So like things like that, you tighten up and then you go, okay, Frank, we gotta make baskets. We gotta defend. That's the name of the game of basketball. Like if one guy who is a specialist is not doing one of those things, their minutes need to be cut.
Right.
And how do you feel about Frank? Because we've talked extensively and we've kind of been supportive of him. I just talked today how I've kind of turned a little bit, but for the most part, I've been supportive of him.
Yeah, Frank didn't put the roster together. This is not his roster. He's been kind of tasked with, cleaning up a lot of messes, dealing with some politics. He had to deal with politics with the Drummond, with the Drummond move too, because Drummond was promised a starting spot, which kind of, screwed things up with Marc Gasol. But so I think Vogel gets more blame than he deserves, but I also think he gets more praise than he deserves because like we've seen even in the times where there were like I gave him a little bit of a pass when we had early on in the season where it was Rondo and Russ sharing the floor because of all the injuries. So it's like, well, why are those guys on the floor together? It's like, man, these guys are hurt. Like there's nobody else. So I kind of can get it. But it was like times where, I forget which game it was. The Lakers were squandering a lead, and it's like we still got Melo out there
at the 5. Yeah.
Yeah, at the
5 game, the one that Alec was at, that one.
Yeah, I was at that one. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, what is he still doing out there? And that's
what kind of erupted after that one.
That felt like that was like the wheels were falling off that game.
Yeah,
and I really felt like that.
I thought he was getting fired after that game too.
Yeah, I thought it was a guy just throwing all his stuff out of the office, like getting fired. I'm just gonna cause a scene before I go out. Like, I'm playing it. Oh my god. So, but apparently, they're like, yeah, we're gonna stick with him because again, at the end of the day, like people talk about, okay, so-and-so got snubbed from the All-Star game or so-and-so should be fired as a coach. Okay, if you believe that, tell me who should replace them.
Yep, that's what we've
always
said.
My thoughts. Yep. Because Handy is a great player development guy.
Right.
I think LeBron's got a great relationship with Fizdale. But as we saw when Vogel was out.
Keep him away from that. As a head coach.
Fizdale didn't really keep the ship afloat. And Handy, to me, like I think he will get a shot at some point. But, I mean, there's some guys who are just built for that lead assistant role. And to be that guy who's just like with the players, So, I mean, I take this as for a grain of salt. I've never been in an NBA locker room, but that's just my observation from my years of watching the sport.
Yeah,
we agree with you. As Alex said, we both have said that in the past that I think firing Vogel may have been an overreaction, and now I'm glad that they've had some patience with him, allowed him to work things out as we still are. So yeah, we'll see how they continue to do that going forward. What do you guys think about this stretch we have coming up right before the All-Star break? I think we have as Alex said, we have the Blazers tonight. Then we have the Clippers and the Knicks, I believe, these next 3 games. I really hope that we just handle business to the point about just racking up wins. This is a nice opportunity to build up some momentum heading into that. And I hope we do so.
Yeah, I think it's a stretch where you should go 3-0. At this point of watching the Lakers this season, I don't expect 3-0. I expect – optimistically, I expect 2-1. I wouldn't be shocked at 1-2, but I'd be like very disappointed by it because these are 3 teams that the Clippers don't have Kawhi or PG. They're coached really well by Tyronn Lue. They've been playing really well in their absence, but it's still a talent gap that you should be able to overcome with having Russ and AD on the floor. And the Knicks have really struggled defensively this year. Yeah. So you should be able to score on them at will. That could be a big Malik Monk type game. These are just games that you can't afford to lose, especially 3 games under 500 at this point. The Blazers tonight, I know they have McCollum back and he's been playing well, but it's another undermanned team with Dame out. These are games they should win. Like they should win all 3. I'm not confident that they'll win all 3.
The Clipper game is the one that feels like the trap to me because I mean that's a team who we've seen, this year, even without PG, without Kawhi, like no lead has been something that you can't just count them out. They've erased some pretty big leads, and that's a back-to-back for an aging Lakers team that really thrives off of energy. Like all of a sudden the wheels start falling off. The Clippers are like, hey, we're outperforming our standard right now. Like you got two opposite states of those 2 LA teams. Hate to say it. But, I mean, you got Tyronn Lue, who's coaching his ass off for the Clippers, and a bunch of guys stepping up and really in those the 2-star players' absence. Clippers are, playing. They're finding ways to beat teams they shouldn't. So that to me, the back-to-back. I mean, is that technically a road game? I don't know. Whatever. Who cares about that?
It's in LA, so
whatever. It doesn't matter. But it's just a back-to-back to me that I just go, man, the Lakers are. It's so much I can't even go all right, they're not the championship team that would handle business on a back-to-back like that. It's just different.
Yeah.
And even though LeBron is out right now and probably will sit through All-Star weekend, this All-Star break has kind of become, with the trade deadline in the midst of it as well, it's kind of like Black Monday in the NFL where a lot of coaches get fired or whatever. Teams kind of make shifts during this little gap during this little All-Star break at times. Do you think this could be, if for some reason we go 1-2 this week, could we see a Vogel move? Could we see one of these moves that are rumored, or would you rather us just stay put?
I think it's tough. It's tough because Frank kind of gets by with all three of the stars aren't healthy at the same time once again. So like this time now it's Russ and AD, but LeBron's out, and LeBron in these games, like LeBron in that Charlotte game and in that Atlanta game, we probably win both of those, and maybe even the Philly game as well too. He's that much of a factor, and he was playing like an MVP again, which was crazy at his age, and just the amount of minutes he's played over the course of his career. But I think that's kind of how Frank gets a pass in these games. Like I think he might have gotten fired after that Pacers game, but it was still a situation where I think the front office kind of wanted to wait and see what they look like once they got AD back in the fold.
Got it.
I'm not sure if he gets that pass again, but I could see him still sticking around, even if they don't win 2 out of these 2 games.
I see the only way I see him getting fired is like it's 0-3 and there's like a 25, 30-point loss in there. Then it's like, okay, look, it ain't it. Like, and just even if the change doesn't yield the results, like, you know, somebody said that Einstein said that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. But I mean, at that point, they'd be just fishing for a scapegoat and be job-saving season. And as we've seen with some of these leaks, like it just doesn't feel like there's a strong foundation there of trust between the front office, coach, player dynamic. The easiest scapegoat, even though he's a championship-winning coach, might be a Frank Vogel, just for like games that you're supposed to win. When you still have 1 of 2 or 1 of 3 or 2 of 3. Like beating teams you're supposed to beat, getting guys motivated, getting guys in spots, or not leaving a Carmelo Anthony out on the floor too long. So like, I mean, I've been a defender of Frank Vogel, but like, I just can't see some of these like,
some of them are real head scratching moves where you're like, Frank, come on, like
it's like a balance. For every time you like correct something, you're like, dang, Frank Vogel finally figured it out. Then it's like, then we got this guy still out here, and it's like, you just can't put it all together, you know?
Yeah. Got you. So I know All-Star break should be a little vacation for guys, but I know LA, all our guys may be on edge for that time. I'm scared about when that phone rings. So we'll see how it all plays out. But definitely still exciting times ahead for the Lakers and exciting times ahead for the whole league. As I mentioned, All-Star weekend is coming in, and they have not announced the All-Star reserves just yet. But they did announce the All-Star starters. Tomorrow. By the time you guys see this, ironically, the reserves will be announced. But until then, the starters are out at least. And the only real head scratcher for most is Andrew Wiggins getting on the West side. How do you guys feel about Andrew Wiggins making the All-Star team as a starter?
Yeah, I mean, I could see him sneaking in like as a reserve, but I was shocked to see that he got the starter nod. I know that there was the K-pop star that like helped get him millions of votes. So that understandable. I know that the Western Conference forwards, that list didn't seem to be very deep either.
Correct.
There's a couple guys that made that top 10 that shouldn't have been on there. Like Carmelo was in there. AD, who had missed like half the games, was in there as well too. I think there's a guy who team success hasn't been there, but Brandon Ingram, I think, is worthy of an all-star nod.
Agreed.
But Andrew Wiggins, that's more so coasting off of the Warriors' team success this year. He's been really good for them in his role, like perfectly slotted into their 3rd or 4th best player. But 3rd or 4th best player on the 2nd best team, I don't know if you deserve the all-star starter nod.
Right.
And maybe that's just an issue with the system, because really it should have been one of the Suns players, but they're both guards and he's a forward, so it wouldn't work for a swap for swap kind of thing. So maybe they need to change the system. But
Alec, we'll get back to them, the Suns, in a second, because I got a question about them that I know you're not going to like. But to Andrew Wiggins, I was putting up the voting results, and he was 5th in the player rank in regards to voting, which actually I was surprised more than the fan vote.
Right.
But you mentioned the fan vote; he was 3rd in that. And the media vote, he was 6th. So he got love from across the board. It wasn't just that big push social media made within the Warriors. Players and media alike also saw what he did. So if they saw something that I didn't see, congrats to him, and you got your spot, and go do your thing. But I will definitely like to see not Wiggins, he's in Booker or somebody else take that spot as a starter. I think him getting in is understood, but as a starter, that definitely is a shock to most. Jake, what do you think about it?
Man, I mean, I just look at like the West, like, so it was what, LeBron, Jokic, Wiggins, Steph, and Ja.
Correct.
That's who it was. Yeah, it's. I mean, Jokic is like a point forward, like a center. Like basketball is so
like positionless.
So positionless. Like how rigid are we going to be at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Like who are the best players in the game? Like it's an all-star game. Like it's you want to see the best guys out there on the court. There's not much defense anyway.
Right.
The back to the basket big. It's kind of dying out. I mean, Embiid is he's kind of a throwback.
Kind of not.
Yes and no.
There's been a renaissance in ways. You know, you're starting to see it a little bit more, which is nice, man. I like watching Embiid play. I mean, AD came back and owned him, you know, but that's a different topic. It's like I don't know. Like I feel like we want to see like they're tweaking so many of these rules anyway. Like the amount of points scored, it's like an untimed fourth quarter.
Oh yeah, right.
Like if you're already going to start doing all that, like let's just put the guys who are the face of the league, like starting in the All-Star game.
It was certainly one of these things is not like the other kind of situation,
right?
Yes, exactly.
Honestly, So we'll see. Definitely interested to see how they pick their reserves then with him getting that vote. Hopefully, someone else doesn't get snubbed because of something like that. So looking forward to that unveiling. By the time you guys see this tomorrow, I guess, or today. Just for the All-Star game itself, for the main guys, definitely a fun game there. They've added some tweaks to the Rising Stars game as well, making it a full little 3-game tournament, I guess, between the rookies and sophomores, as well as the G League guys. Some of the G League, the Ignite team that they have of Rising Stars there also. So what do you guys think about that changed format? Alec, go ahead. We think about the Rising Stars format.
I wasn't super keen on it when I first heard about it, but then I was listening to another podcast kind of break it down, and it sounded pretty interesting, actually. Just thinking about the inclusion of the G League Ignite players, because some of those guys have played with like the rookie, sophomore guys as well too. Like they're not super far removed from each other.
Of course.
So I think it'll be cool to get an introduction to some of these guys that like I didn't see Jonathan Kuminga play much last year or Jalen Green. So it would be nice to get like kind of an introduction to those guys, and the tournament format should be cool. Like we all like love to play like pickup. If we're into hoops, like we love to play pickup hoop and watch pickup hoop, and that all-star format where they kind of did pickup style in a way in the past couple seasons has been cool to watch. So I'm open to them trying new things. I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be a fine product.
What do you think, Jay?
I mean, to pick up on that, I feel like that's they're always just trying to showcase what the league has to offer, right? Like the future of the league, like how, and you expand that pool, you can get more guys in that aren't snubbed because of for some whatever reason. And I think that's always been the goal. I mean, the NBA is trying to push the G League into more of like a prominent option for players. Like but the funny thing is, with college having the name, image, and likeness changes, like there's a lot of guys still in college that are sticking around in college that might be like, just trying to stick around and maximize their ability to make money at UCLA, like a Juzang. Like I don't think Juzang is a first round pick or something like that, but there's guys who are in this pool of players that aren't all first round picks. So it's just, it's the NBA trying to showcase like, hey, we got this G League Ignite. Like this is why you should be paying attention. We got these young, exciting players. So I mean, anything they're trying to do is just to generate excitement. So I'm about it. I would like to see the dunk contest, just become a little bit more of what it can be, and part of that I get is guys don't want to get hurt doing it. And I mean, now more than ever, you got professional dunkers who just can't shoot, who can't do anything else other than dunk, that are doing dunks that guys in the NBA don't have time to practice, or nor can they practice because they could get seriously hurt coming down and get hurt, doing so. But I just feel like we got robbed without LeBron being in a dunk contest at some point. Like, I would have loved to see like a Zion or like a Ja.
We did get a couple of good ones with Zach LaVine and Aaron Gordon.
Right. We're not too far from that.
Yeah. Gordon, he obviously felt like he got robbed.
He did get robbed.
I mean, that to me was like one of the all-time greats. Like,
definitely.
So to say he had one of the best dunks ever and didn't win the contest is kind of wild.
Yeah,
very, very wild. We'll get to the actual contest in a second, but just on that topic, who would be your dream dunk contest of current guys right now? Who you guys want to see in a dunk contest if you could this year?
And I definitely want to see Ja.
Ja, Miles Bridges immediately come to mind. They've been getting up there for sure. Obi actually already.
He's in it.
Is in it, and I think that's a good pick to have in there. And then the last one, I don't know who that fourth guy would be right now.
I mean, healthy Zion, I would.
Yeah, a healthy Zion, of course. Of
LaVine
course.
already did his time. Like I wouldn't even want to see LaVine at this point because he's already done his. Like I feel like he already did his time. You know,
right?
It's like a service thing. You know, like you have to do the dunk hunt. You know, but like I would like. Even though he still got it, like he's polished into like more of a scorer too now.
Now it would be nice to see them as judges, make LaVine and Gordon as judges for the future ones.
Yeah, like kind of you're transitioning in that OG role.
Gordon would be giving everybody sevens because he'd be.
I don't care. Go ahead, get your revenge. That's
wrong by Dwayne Wade.
But I was gonna say, I don't mind the list from this year of dunkers.
I don't either. It's a good list.
Jalen Green has crazy bounce. I don't love him as an NBA player. That's a different discussion for a different day.
Right.
But he has crazy bounce, so I'm sure he can pull off some acrobatic dunks. Obi Toppin has had already some good in-game dunks. Cole Anthony was one I was like least sure about as a small guard, but he has some pretty nice bounce.
For this, hey, he's my pick, low key.
Yeah, I mean, because when small guys get up, it's like really impressive. So he kind of has an edge in that way.
Not even that. Something about Cole that stands out to me is that he has a very big personality. If you follow him at all, or you see his interviews, he's definitely a character. So if he has any creativity to match with that, he'll come out with some crazy stuff. So
that's why I feel like with Ant, I would have loved to see Ant do it.
Ant that's the last guy.
Ant would be perfect.
Because he has more confidence than I think anybody that's ever played the game of basketball.
Absolutely. Love that guy. So I would love to see him. That would be my fourth guy. If Zion is out for I'll put Ant in there. But for right now, as good as Jalen can be, as grand as Obi can be when he dunks the ball, I'm actually gonna go with Cole as my pick for dunk contest right now. So
I think JTA is the fourth one.
Yeah. He's the fourth guy. So he could come out with some stuff too. I don't know, catch a three from Steph Curry and dunk it in or something. I don't know. But it should be interesting. It's not as bad as folks in me were initially reacting to and saying. So looking forward to that. Interested to see how the rest of it unfolds. We went and talked about the starters for the All-Star game. Did you guys see the jerseys that they have for this year for the All-Star game?
Yeah, they should go back to wearing their home jerseys.
We talked about this actually.
We did.
We did. And I was like, man, I missed that. I missed the times where you're like, you got, Kobe's wearing the purple Laker jersey, and you got, Tim Duncan wearing his, and like, you got guys like or Kevin Garnett wearing the old school Timberwolves jersey, or AI with the black 76ers. Like those are iconic jerseys. But then I do think, like, to bring it back to why they obviously do this, you get guys who might be like a fan of, like, let's say I am a Ja Morant fan, but I don't like the Grizzlies, like I might be more inclined to support Ja Morant, buy a Ja Morant All-Star jersey, than buy a Grizzlies jersey and be like, "Are you a Grizzlies fan?" It's like, no, I just like Ja. Like, why are you wearing a Grizzlies jersey? But that's just me, the jersey head.
That would save Garrett for sure, because he's got plenty of jerseys of teams he's not a fan.
Yeah, but I don't mind. I'll wear a jersey for some guys. It ain't that serious. But I guess to your point though, my rebuttal was, while that does make sense, they could just keep it simple and have them wear their jerseys, but have a nice all-star patch. They could find a way to have the best of both worlds, but I understand why that might not be appealing for them sales-wise. So yeah, it is what it is for this year. They have their YMCA jerseys on this year, and it'll be what it's going to be. But I still think it's going to be a fun game. So yeah, looking forward to next weekend. It's going to be a good one. So, or 2 weekends from now, actually, right after the Super Bowl. So yeah, good stuff there.
You want to just talk about the Suns?
Yeah, going back just across the rest of the league, it's that time of the year again. We're starting to hear the narratives. It's time for Chris Paul for MVP. It's time for Devin Booker for MVP. All the leadership narratives are starting up again, and it's time, and we're bracing ourselves. What do you think? And we just saw it's somewhat understood with the impressive game we've seen yesterday. I think they had a real good game versus I forgot who it just was. The Nets, yes, and they're on the second 10-game win streak of the season. So I think to rack up wins. 50 games in, they still haven't lost 10 games. They've only lost 9 still. So they're on an impressive run. And are they the title favorites as of this moment?
Oh. That's a loaded question there, G. I don't know because I don't know if they could beat this Bucks team again. So I don't know if I consider them the title favorite. They're the Western Conference favorite for sure. I don't know if I consider them title favorite though.
Okay, I'll give them that as well. Yeah,
I mean, I think it just matters if Milwaukee gets to the finals. I think I got them beating Phoenix, but I think Phoenix. I feel like, and that just comes from Giannis being Giannis, right? But I do think Phoenix, against anybody else in the East, I feel like is a favorite. And they're just playing such
against the Nets because they only get away game Kyrie.
Yeah, and 100%. That changes everything.
Yeah,
you got a Nets team you got a Suns team that's just dialed in.
Right,
11 games in a row. CP3 great player, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yep,
second or third, fourth best point guard ever. I don't know how that kind of
leadership.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, right around right. I don't know how
6 maybe. I don't know.
5, 6. I don't know. I have to really kind of just take a step back and go. Okay, obviously Magic, Steph,
Isaiah Thomas,
Isaiah, Oscar.
Russ.
Where you put those guys at? Russ.
Yeah, Russ too. Yeah, no. Good point.
Yeah. So
both have won a chip. So
yeah, you're right. So but man, I feel like if we're talking who's gonna beat Phoenix in the West.
It'll be the Warriors.
It'd be the Warriors for sure. And then I don't know what's good with Wiseman. What's going on with him?
I don't know if it matters either. To be honest,
it doesn't really matter for that squad. But it reminds me of who else is dealing with the same thing. Zion, how his keep on getting delayed, pushed back, and he's gonna be back this week, and then no, they set back a month, and he's gonna be back this week and set back. There's stuff that's going on there with him for whatever reason where he can't fully get right. I think he's just now starting on court acts like one-on-ones or whatever, or he's not even in full game settings yet, even in practice. So he's still easing his way back, but it may be a while. So it might just be once the playoffs get here, he rolls around, but he won't be fully in motion as I need him to be, acclimated as I need him to be. So we'll see. But interesting there.
I'll actually take a step back on my Suns answer to your question. I think fully healthy, I'd say the Warriors are the favorite in the West still, and then the Bucks in the East for me. But healthy Warriors, I think, can take the Suns in a 7-game series. I think we've seen them be successful with non-all-star center production before with Andrew Bogut or
Festus Ezeli or
exactly.
Yeah.
And I think Kevon Looney is serviceable enough in that center position where they're good enough without an elite big man down there. Healthy Draymond Green is the key because he's the engine that gets them running. We've seen Steph really struggle. I think Steph's struggles have to really do with Draymond being out from a large standpoint. Obviously he's slumped as a shooter too, but I think Draymond really makes it easier, especially for Steph. They just have that connection, like we talked about with Stafford and Cup. Like they have that elite connection.
Right.
Get you what you want.
Yeah, Steph's getting his screens and he's coming off and then like seeing backdoor cuts, like Draymond step, like there's just so much to what he does that I feel like some people might look at the numbers and go, well, why is he an all-star? Why would Draymond be an all-star? Why would Draymond be
triple single and all that?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like, you don't understand. Like this guy really is a glue guy.
Yeah.
And defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he's that important to what they do there. And this is, to me, I think Draymond has more Hall of Fame merit than Manu, personally. Like I understood Manu being like, an important sixth man. And he could have been a starter, but he led the second unit. But I do think though, like Draymond to me is a better player in terms of the game of basketball than Manu.
I'm fine with that. Hey. That's cool.
Manu a better scorer, but I think
of course
Draymond probably does everything else better.
Definitely. So excited to see that play out. Definitely gonna be a fun end to the season.
Oh, but did you talk about CP3?
We already kind of mentioned him with the MVP stuff. So that was it. The last thing I was gonna say, just to poke at them now, since our guy is no longer there. We mentioned all these teams that are contending, and the team that no longer is contending is the Utah Jazz, as they continue to fall apart. Things have kind of gotten awry since they let our guy go.
Hey man, you get rid of me. Hey man, that's what happened.
Like, all downhill since.
They made a mistake.
Ain't worth it, man.
They made a mistake. That's their problem now. Now I don't have to root for that team anymore.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, it was the biggest. I was trying so hard, Jake.
Yeah,
he really was. I called them frauds all season.
I was trying so hard to say they were a good squad. And salute to Mie for what he contributed to that squad. But now that he's gone and the things have fallen apart since, that squad it's a mess. And Joe Ingles just went down for the season as well. And things just continue to just go awry for them. So we'll see how they turn it around. We'll see if Don Mitchell even stays there. I heard there's rumblings of him wanting to get out of there or just content or whatever. So rough times ahead for the Jazz, but oh well.
Even call the Jazz. Like, we know we were talking about like the Commanders earlier in the football episode.
Right.
The Jazz should be the New Orleans Jazz, and I feel like if they were the New Orleans Jazz, because that's they uprooted Pistol Pete Maravich. They were the New Orleans Jazz. Obviously, went out west, but like there's no Jazz in Utah. They're not Jazz,
right?
Not that I know.
Yeah, I mean, and I get it.
I'm in Salt Lake City, so
yeah. Someone might say the same thing, like, okay, well, the Los Angeles Lakers. At least the Lakers is like an alliteration, like a play on word of Los Angeles Lakers.
And it's from Minneapolis,
right?
So,
yeah. So, but man, Utah Jazz, like, just.
Yeah, enough's enough. Now is a great time for a reset. Go ahead and change the name, change the whole look, because it's about to. They're gonna need a whole rebuild coming soon with how things are falling apart there. So it is what it is with them. Anything else you guys want to know NBA wise, or you want to move on to elsewhere?
So when you guys are talking about MVP, I know you mentioned CP3. I don't know like what kind of agenda we're really feeling like that. But
that's what I'm saying. We didn't really talk about CP3.
Oh, okay. Maybe I missed that thing. Go ahead.
Like, do you feel like it's like how much to you is winning basketball the end all be all for the MVP award?
40, 60, like 40% team success, 60% your individual play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I think it does make a difference.
What'd you say?
It makes a difference. It does matter.
Yeah.
As you were saying, go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, I think I'm one of those people that still firmly believes Russ deserved that 6th seed MVP with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And people now like try to discredit it and call it a narrative MVP, but like he was the first person to average a triple double,
right?
Since like Oscar Robertson, and it was an insane season where he pulled along like a Sabonis who hadn't really popped yet, an Oladipo who hadn't really popped yet, and then the rest were kind of scrubs. Like Steven Adams was okay, and I think they had Andre Roberson on that team still. Like he kind of drugged that team to a playoff spot with an incredible season. So I think you can't always fully base it off of team success for the MVP. I think that was part of the reason that Steve Nash stole an MVP from Kobe that year when Kobe averaged 35, 5 and 5. And I think they were the 7 seed and the Phoenix was the 2. So yeah, I think you have to put a little bit more weight into the individual performance because you need context when you're deciding like who is the most valuable. It's not just the team success. So.
Right. And as much as they say valuable, it's really actually like the best player on the best team.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's
yeah. So if you're closer to that best team, that's gonna be the deciding factor. So like this year, if Chris Paul and LeBron are neck and neck, Chris Paul being on the 1 seed Suns right now will probably give him the edge over LeBron. You know, LeBron has been on a nice tear himself this year as well.
Chris Paul isn't neck and neck. Just
no, he's not. I'm just saying for an analogy.
Just clarifying
neck and neck.
For the listeners.
Right. See, like to me, like the point you brought up about like Russ being the 6 seed MVP, like I firmly agree with you there. But that's also why I'm like, look, Nikola Jokic is the MVP for me, not close to. I think the adversity he's had to deal with for his team.
I think Embiid's right there too.
Yeah.
Okay, Embiid, I would say based off of the fact that he's what they're 32 and 18 or something like that. They're 2 seed behind Chicago.
Yeah,
right.
He might average 30 too as a big.
I think the Nuggets and the Sixers are both 6 seeds in their conferences
right
now.
No, the Sixers have moved up.
Yeah, they moved up to number 2. Okay. So like they're definitely pulling weight. So I could see Embiid there, but I mean to me, like actually, you know what, that is a good point because the whole Ben Simmons fiasco. It's not the Philly team that's supposed to be. So I would say maybe not by a mile, but I'm still going with Jokic just based off of no MPJ. No Jamal Murray, and you're just leading every single statistical category.
Right.
And you got a team at the 6th seed in the West right now, and it's within striking distance to be a 5 seed.
Yeah, definitely hear you there. So, but MVP race, you mentioned both of those. We even mentioned Giannis, but Giannis definitely is in that mix always. Also, with his play, dropped a triple double in the second half of his game versus I'm blanking on team.
The Wizards
yesterday, versus them, and you continue to go on a tear as he does. They'll continue to be in stride as he's been since that title run. So just a very fun MVP race, and we'll see how they make that call at the end. So looking forward to it all. And again, any other NBA stuff you want to get to real quick?
Nah, I don't think so. I just saw that the Wizards have a 23 and 27 record, so they're falling back to where I thought they would be.
Yeah.
You mean getting all those players from that Russ trade didn't make them just
who won the trade?
Who won the trade?
Oh man!
I guess my thing with them was just that I think you had them being like 11 or 12 in on the East.
Yeah, they're 12 right now.
They're 12 right now, and I thought they would be at least a little bit better than that. And they had a good start, as we all saw, but now they've fallen back to where Alex said. So hey, I'll hold that L. I'm just not that serious. So it is what it is. But that's it. NBA wise, I could think of. We'll move on from there. Speaking with basketball real quick, have you guys been following college basketball at all? Any note on college basketball?
A little bit of Arizona and UCLA.
Go ahead, sure.
Teams, but I think they actually play again this week.
The follow up.
Rematch because UCLA won that one pretty handily. I was surprised in that first matchup.
There's some sloppy shooting from Arizona, just
from Kerr, who's been one of their better players. I think those two are cream of the crop, like in college basketball, and it's nice to see Pac-12 teams like playing really well. I think you had on here like if we had any early favorites. UCLA is still kind of my early favorite.
I'll officially ask it. Let me ask it.
Yeah.
If someone hands you a March Madness bracket today, I know we don't have the seedings or anything like that.
Sure.
But if you had a team to pick to go all the way, do you guys have a team that you would send all the way through right now?
Yeah, I'd probably send UCLA.
I would probably too, just based off of they're talented. They've got savvy veterans.
Right. They brought back the starting 5. So.
They brought back their starting 5. Yeah, and Gonzaga to me doesn't seem like the same behemoth that they were last year. Obviously, they've lost a couple games this year. And
it's solid though.
Yeah, they did beat UCLA too early on in the season.
They did, yeah. And I think
game, but
it changed. It's kind of a weird game. Now they got Cody Riley back, so they got more size and better presence rebounding the basketball. That's where Gonzaga just really got kind of exposed was Baylor in the national championship game. Just so much more athletic,
out physical.
Love that.
Really, and I think actually, I've been mostly watching UCLA college basketball when it comes to the college hoops, but I haven't been keeping up with Bruce Pearl's team over at Auburn, and they are.
That's what I was gonna mention.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, they got some guys over there, Jabari Smith and wow, God, I'm blanking on names, but they got a few guys over there that are real solid. So they might be my other pick. UCLA.
Okay.
Yeah, UCLA is solid. I know I'm an SC guy, but respect to y'all. Y'all got a good squad this year, and Auburn definitely have caught my attention. So yeah, we shall see how it all plays out. They'll be excited for all that.
Kentucky's actually they've been kind of down for the last 2 years, but they're kind of surging right now.
Quietly bouncing back.
Oh, Purdue's number 4. Interesting.
They got a guy over there. His name is Jaden Ivey, I believe. He's really good too. I don't know how deep they could run with just him at the lead there. I don't. They have some other guys helping them, but he definitely is the number 1 there. I don't know how deep they could go with him, but yeah, they're a very solid squad as well.
Okay.
Right around conference tournament time. That's kind of when I'm like really glued in, so I can kind of start to figure out how my bracket is going to be. Right. That to me is when I'm like, all right, let me start to separate the early risers from the ones who are starting to fall to earth. And then assess teams.
With you mentioning that, can we lock you in for a spot in our tournament challenge this year?
Oh yeah,
let's go.
I love it. So
I got lucky last year with the Baylor pick because I had no idea.
We've been mentioning it kind of throughout the year as college basketball is getting underway, but we'll mention it again, obviously as things get closer. But we will have a March Madness tournament group for you guys to join. Definitely stay tuned for all of that. Definitely gonna be a fun one. The 3 of us you guys see here will all be a part of it, and it'll be definitely fun to compete with you guys with. So yeah, definitely excited for that. And I may put Auburn all the way through in mind. They got a really nice squad there. Thank you for reminding me.
You're going chalk because I see the 1 seed never.
Oh, whatever. Hey, I'm front runner. Fine, that's fine with me. But I like what I've seen from them. So it should be fun. But that's the one thing I wanted to mention with college basketball right now. Going elsewhere, baseball. I got my Dodger hat on right now, and we're hoping that things work out with the lockout. Any updates? I heard they are still trying to get that all worked out. I take a step back when baseball talk comes up, but what's the latest with that? And should we expect them back on the field soon?
Seems like they haven't reached an agreement still.
Yeah, it sounds like just like a lot of jockeying from I mean, of all the unions, I think baseball's union leadership is the strongest. Like football's Players Association kind of bows to the NFL on a lot of issues to kind of resolve things. NBA's, they obviously got I think there's more of like a split amongst player leadership in the NBA, but they kind of, I mean, it is a players' league, and there's no mistaking that.
Right.
But I think Major League Baseball, I mean, the fact that there is not a salary cap league is huge. Like the Players Association has always had they've always had their backs, but there's things they want to change. They want to get rid of the service time manipulation that teams have been able to get away with. Like oh, we're gonna make sure you don't play X amount of games, so we have you for another year, and you're missing out on free agency. Arbitration, like all these things. And the players want to see more guys getting jobs, so that's why they're like, let's get the DH all across baseball. Which I think that's not one of the things. Like I think owners are ready to yield to a lot of that, but a lot of the small market teams that don't want to pay the money that teams like the Dodgers have been willing to pay. That now the Padres are stepping up their payroll, and some of your perennial Yankees, Red Sox, Astros, and from time to time the big spenders, right? People don't want to pay those types of contracts, so they're saying we don't want to lower the free agency period from 6 to 5 or 5 to 4, whatever year, however many years they're trying to change. It's just a wide gap right now between what small market owners really want and what the Scott Boras led players want. So it's not very encouraging right now. As much as there's baseball's brimming with talent right now. It's great. Yeah. Shohei leading the way, doing it all. You know,
Absolutely.
Tatis, as a Dodgers fan, I can appreciate the way Tatis is playing.
Sure.
It's pretty
Do you
great.
think they get started like on schedule? Because I think spring training is supposed to start end of this month. And
yeah, spring training, I see an inevitable delay, which sucks because, I mean, one of the things that sucks is you're getting guys away from their team doctors. Mm-hmm. So guys who are recovering from Tommy John are having to do it with, you know, guys, maybe doctors they feel comfortable with, but you're not at the facility. You can't rehab, can't do any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. I see an inevitable delay in spring training, but I feel like for some reason they're going to figure it out.
For the start of the regular season.
Yeah. And I think
March 31st or something like that. So.
Yeah. And I'm trying to wonder who's going to end up making more of the, you know, who's going to bow more to who.
More
yeah. Like if it's going to be the owners who go, okay, we're going to bow more to the players, or if it's the players who are going to say, okay, maybe we can scale back some of our demands, wait until the next collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Do you have any, I guess, hopes for like what the Dodgers do beyond this lockout? What the Dodgers do, just roster wise?
You know, I feel like one thing that they could really be doing is saying we didn't get a fully healthy Mookie Betts. So when you lose a bat like a Corey Seager, it makes a lot of people go, well, then why don't you go get a Freddie Freeman or you go get someone else? And it's like, well, I mean, that would be the Dodger move to do, right?
Listen,
At this
point, still want Freddie Freeman.
Go get Freddie Freeman, right? Guy grew up around the area, grew up a Dodger fan.
Yeah.
He seems to be loving Atlanta. So I don't know if he, you know, if Atlanta's just like, we got our World Series. Thank you for your service, Freddie, but we can't pay you like that, you know? So I mean, the Dodgers, I could see them doing that. I do feel though, like if they get Mookie Betts of who we know he can be without the hip problems, I mean, they got Taylor who can, you know, play pretty much everywhere in the field.
Same sentiment with Bellinger as far as getting a full.
Yeah, Bellinger get him return to form after the shoulder injury.
Yeah,
like
still great in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I do think though they're not done making moves. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to figure out something like in the starting pitching department as well too. One, what to do with Kershaw because he's older and suffered a lot of injuries last season.
Hey man, look, if Stafford wins a ring, maybe he gets inspired to like want to.
Right.
Right? Yeah, I know they're old buddies for sure.
Right.
But yeah, the Trevor Bauer situation. So that's another starting pitcher we lost, and then Scherzer signed with the Mets. So I think getting Dustin Mayback's gonna be huge. I think I saw a video of him today just throwing like soft toss or whatever. But
yeah, like around like something like 80 or something like that. I don't know if he was throwing like miles an hour.
That's soft toss to him because
soft toss for him.
Crazy.
Even 102 with a run like that, it's like 80s. Like
that's a pretty good. So it'll be nice to get some of those guys back who we did have from injury. But I think they could probably use another big arm in that rotation because Kershaw not quite what he used to be, just health wise. And Scherzer like was our guy. Obviously, we have Walker Buehler too, but it'd be nice to get a third big arm. I think.
Yeah, 100%. Someone who can eat innings too. Like I know they absorbed a contract from David Price as part of the Mookie deal. He wasn't trusted enough to even really be on the World Series. I mean, to be on the
I thought we were going to use Price more than we'd have, but he's just become like a reliever, a spot reliever sometimes.
Yeah, so I do think like they would. There's guys out there that they could go grab who could, you know, be a fourth guy. I mean, because Urias, man, he just pitched a career high innings, which I mean they want to.
We kind of overworked him a little bit.
I just hope he hasn't been overworked. You know, like. He's had his arm issues before, because you don't want to. Like that's why I feel like to take this back to the Rams here. Like, if you are going to go all in, you better keep going all in because like a big injury to one of your guys, then what? Then you're kind of screwed. So like it's almost like you double down. You like the Bauer thing happened.
Right.
Okay, we got Scherzer. Wow, really? Dang. Okay, they're in. That's because this is the window. So
right.
We'll see.
Yeah, and like you talked about too, losing Seager. I feel like they're losing a good bit of power, like in the lineup too, losing Seager. So that's part of the reason too I would like getting a guy like Freddie Freeman to kind of supplant the loss of power there, because Trey Turner, not a hitter for power, like he's a hitter for average, and he brings you the glove at shortstop, which is his more natural position, and the stolen bases, like the speed, but I think
hitting like 330, 320,
exactly.
like
that's
hard to beat.
Gotcha. So, I'm excited for the Dodgers. Again, I took more of a step back when y'all get to talking, but as I'm getting more involved with it and hearing what you guys are saying, I'm definitely looking forward to what's ahead. Hopefully, they figure out all the why did I just blank on the the CBA, get that all worked out and can get things rolling, and so I can get back to more again. I went to 2 games actually last year, or no, 1 game last year, but definitely will go to a few. I want to get things back rolling again, and hopefully the Dodgers will have a good product, Freddie Freeman maybe, or whoever also on the lineup there for us to see when they get back rolling again. So I'm excited for that. Lastly, with baseball, you mentioned Jake, all the talent across the league. And the greatest one of them right now, Shohei Ohtani, is the face of MLB The Show this year. Glad he got that cover. He definitely is a star that deserves that spotlight. And MLB The Show, from what I've seen from afar at least, has been on a nice run recently in regards to just the game itself. People have been loving the game and all that. And I've been gaming just a little bit. Got my PS4 here still. I don't get the PS5 yet. But I've been seeing that and make cop MLB The Show when it comes out. I've been hearing for a couple of years now that it's one of the best games out. So yeah, glad that Shohei got the cover, and looking forward to that game when it debuts. What do you think about Shohei getting the cover there?
Stephen A. was wrong, man. He said couldn't be the face of the league, which we all knew.
Exactly.
That was just
That's why he got so slandered for it.
Yeah, I think that was just a victim. Stephen A. being a victim of like trying to create another take, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kind of manufacture a take, and it just went sideways a little bit there.
But, I mean, unanimous MVP. Like,
what are we doing?
Close is Babe Ruth. I mean, like that's the language of baseball is the crack of the bat. You know.
Let me ask you this. I'm glad you mentioned that. Is Babe Ruth legit like that for real? Do we still have to praise him like that, or?
I mean, yeah.
Yes.
It's hard with different eras, but yeah, I'd say yeah.
I mean,
I'm starting to see a lot of Babe Ruth is enough's enough with Babe. We can move on now.
Look, I think the guy, the legend around the guy is always going to exist, and why he's always going to be around. Because you plug a lot of these guys into different eras with modern medicine, and like Babe Ruth was swinging a 48-ounce bat and hitting home runs. And this guy was like. The legend around him is like this guy was the greatest, and he was the greatest of his era, and it was not close. So, like, I think the same thing can be said like a Bill Russell. Like,
I was going to say it's real Billish, real Billish.
Yeah, you watch some Bill Russell tape though, you're like, dang, this guy just went coast to coast, like that. And but Bill's like what, like 6'9.5", 6'10"? I don't think he's like a 6'11", right?
Right.
He could. I think he could play in today's game.
Yeah. Yeah,
like he's the athlete, Like, I mean, he's not gonna be wearing Chuck Taylors, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a big difference.
And he's gonna be doing, recover, like have access to cryogenic therapy. Like
we see guys that aren't like supreme athletes who are very successful players, like in this current like era of players as well too.
Gotcha. All right, I'll keep it my respect to Babe.
Yeah, no, none of us watched Babe Ruth, so we can't confirm or deny how much of he was that guy. But
they had Babe, we got Shohei, so I'm glad to be around to actually see him play and the amazing things he puts out on the diamond there. So good stuff just across the board. MLB, what we just discussed, NBA, last episode, NFL, a little bit of boxing stuff in there. And we usually end the pod, or the official end the pod, just kind of random stuff, just beyond sports. Are there any shows you're watching right now, Jake, that you've been keeping up with?
Man, so I was just at my girlfriend's house, and she's been watching Euphoria from the jump, and I mean, I popped in on season 2, and I'm like, whoa, this soundtrack first off is dope. So dope soundtrack, but I mean, they're pushing the envelope in ways where like, oh,
yeah,
you gotta watch the first season too, man.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there.
I might have to revisit it. So like, I'm notoriously late on a lot of shows. There's a lot of shows. There's a lot. Yeah, I mean, the way we digest content now is completely changed because it's all kind of on our own time. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I'm mostly waiting for. Like I just finished up Insecure. I loved Insecure. I thought the writing of that was fantastic. But I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to Atlanta coming back.
Oh yeah.
Like that to me, I feel like Donald Glover, like as much as sometimes like his music is not for me sometimes.
Yeah.
As a writer, man, he is gold because the show is genreless. Like it's like it's comedy sometimes, and it's like it takes you on a dark, sadistic turn.
Yeah, exactly.
That's elite television right there, for sure. I gotta ask you real quick though. Have you watched Dave?
Oh no,
Dave. Okay, all right. So he's a Dave hater, huh?
He is a Dave hater.
Oh,
okay. Well,
no. Listen. No,
it's not Atlanta.
No.
Don't compare it. Hold on.
Wait.
I'm not going to speak for you. Go ahead.
I'm not a Dave hater. Let me finish. I'm a Dave ignorer. Like I just don't even care to even look that way. Like there's so much other stuff that I'm trying to keep up with that Alex sends clips from Dave. I'm like, this is all right, but I gotta watch this other show instead. So I just don't even pay it any mind. Should I actually be watching Dave though? Okay,
listen, just look at who's co-signed Dave. And I feel like I'm not saying you got to do it because other people are co-signing, but they season 2, the first 2 episodes were kind of crazy. Like I was like, what are they doing here? Because the first season I thought was
really like tone shift from the first season too.
It was, but then it really, I mean, like without spoiling it for you, like the show's name is Dave, and at the end of season 2, it kind of comes full circle to where it's like it becomes less about who you think it's about. Does that make sense? As someone who's seen it, Alec, did you've seen the whole season, right? Yeah. I mean, it comes full circle, and it's like season 2 is like a big confrontation with like the ego of and it's I thought it's like it. There's a lot to like take from it in terms of like character arcs. So I give it a cosign. It's not better than Atlanta.
Yeah, that second season, I think he's like very honest about like his process as a rapper. I mean, because he's like he went through like the writer's block or whatever, trying to be taken seriously, but also like being kind of a joke rapper, that kind of thing.
Right. Like he's grappling with his limitations and like whether he's typecast, and I think it's good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. The first season though is just like a great comedy to me. Like regardless of the plot and whatever, like that was my first introduction to your fellow redhead brethren, Andrew Santino.
Andrew Santino, yeah.
He's hilarious too. It's just like a really funny show in season 1. Season 2 got a little bit more serious, but it was a great watch. You don't have to watch it, but
all right, man. You said it. Jason Jones said it. If I have time, but listen, Atlanta's coming back, Snowfall's coming back, Euphoria's rolling. There's a lot of shows that are on right now.
That's gonna be dope. Even though that's the reason that Adam McKay and Will Ferrell are no longer friends, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm sure they'll reconvene at some point.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
But with so much going on, if I find the time, I will. I'll put Dave on for once. I know
30-minute episodes, not too bad. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
But I know though. See, the thing is, I know you put a lot of time in keeping your finger on the tab with hip hop. So it's like you can't. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day to keep up.
So many hours in the day, man.
Only so many hours in the day. So like,
don't give him those outs. Don't give him those outs.
Hey, no, I will.
What you mean?
I'm giving it to him.
But to that point, what music, hip hop or beyond, whatever, anything you're listening to right now?
Oh man, like so I would say like to start off the year, I haven't really been as like keeping my finger on the pulse with it recently, but I know I'll tell you what though, like I remember when you were talking about the state of hip hop and you were saying like you really like what's coming out of Detroit. and I'm starting to come around to that. Like I'm starting to see, like I know 42 Doug's route has been kind of through Lil Baby. So I don't know if it's necessarily the authentic way coming up through Detroit. But there's a lot to like coming out from that part of town. I was I mean I like I mean I can't say I'm like a huge fan, like I'm like number one fan, but like I like Griselda records. I do like I was rooting for the Bills to get to the Super Bowl, but like I'm glad that like if the Rams and the Bills weren't playing, like I wouldn't have to be like, oh, I can't listen to West Side Gun, or I can't listen to Benton, or I can't listen to these guys, right? Like I feel guilty, you know. So, but yeah, I would say, you know, I really anticipating what Kendrick's got cooking.
Right.
And I think with the halftime show,
that halftime show should be fun. Yeah.
People have started the rumor yet again that he might drop a single right before, which would be this week. So we'll see how that plays out. But I don't know how you drop a single that fast and then perform it. I don't know. So I'm sure it'll be some of the stuff from his last album, but definitely after that, we're looking forward to what's next with Kendrick and all TDE as well. Folks, to your point about Griselda, with TDE being absent, people have called Griselda the best group out right now. So we'll see if TDE can reclaim that throne with Kendrick dropping again, hopefully soon.
But he's also leaving, right? Because that's his last.
Also leaving too, though. So yeah, it's big shifts are ahead. But yeah, definitely enjoyed them. To your point about Griselda, for those that don't know, they're out in Buffalo. They're still getting familiar. They're out in Buffalo. Collective West Side Gun, Bang the Butcher. Comedy Machine. My apologies. Armani Caesar and a few others that are on the rise as well. Definitely are an impressive crew. Bang the Butcher just dropped a song with J. Cole called Johnny P's Caddy. People are loving that song that just came out. J. Cole had another amazing verse on there that you guys definitely should check out. And his full project, Tana Talk 4, of his collection of Tana Talk projects are out this week. And then, that drops, the 11th. And then Conway has his project dropping, I believe, the week after. So Griselda, they put out great music and consistently put out great music and are continuing to go on a roll right now. Looking forward for what's next with them. And just across the board, just a lot of good things on the way. So yeah, fun things ahead in music. Alec, anything from you, show or music wise, you want to mention real quick?
Let me think. I just started Boba Fett because I wasn't on the hype train when it first came out, but decided to give it a shot. So jury's still out on that one. What else? I'm watching Euphoria, obviously. Ozark was insane. I don't think we dove deep into it. Are you an Ozark fan, Jake?
Yeah, I've seen seasons 1 through 3, but I'm waiting for my girlfriend to finish season 3 so I can watch it.
We'll wait.
Oh no!
Hey,
you gotta tell her to hurry up.
Alec, when Jason Jones comes on, we'll talk to. I think he said he's watched it. So we'll save our review for one more week.
Ozark
because I've literally been trying. I'm the kind of guy I stay up so late. Like I could finish Ozark in one setting, but like
you really could.
I watched my girlfriend are like, we're supposed to be watching together, so I'm trying not to cheat. I'm trying.
All good. Take your time.
I watched like the first 2 episodes one night, and then the next 5 the next night. It was so good, man. It's like it's cemented in my top 5 already.
Yeah, it's up there. So in regards to the dramas, or however you want to describe it, it's definitely one of the best. But also just all the topic of shows again. Another show that I'm still continuing to enjoy. Abbott Elementary is rolling out right now still. I'm thoroughly enjoying that. Comedy side, in the same realm as The Office and Parks and Rec and all of that. But they do a great job with that. Rolling out weekly. I think a new episode just came out. And just enjoying that also. So good shows out right now. When you're not watching Section 300 or Good as Gold, there's a lot of good stuff out there beyond that to tune into. So definitely stay up on all that as well. So that's it, I think, for us. Alec, you have anything else you want to mention real quick?
No, I think we've taken up enough of Jake's time.
Yeah, enough time taking up here.
Not all. I really appreciate you guys, seriously having me on. I do appreciate it, talking everything, sports and then, some pop culture, mixing it in. Man, I learned a lot from you guys. So, I mean, I'm always tuned in to what you guys got going on with Section 300.
Yeah, man, we appreciate it.
Absolutely appreciate you.
Love to interact on the Twitter feeds as well, too, for sure. So.
Hey man, we got more good stuff, more positive with the rant.
Hopefully.
And then maybe these guys can figure some stuff out too.
Hopefully soon. So yeah, definitely great things ahead for both of us. And again, Jake, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, that makes another great episode 6300, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, follow us on IG and TikTok at section.300. A lot of fun stuff coming up there, a lot of good conversations and all of that. TikTok is going up a little bit. We're finally active on there and having a good time. Twitter is going great as well. Section 300 Sports. A lot of fun conversations as well with Jake and others we have on there all the time. Spaces will be more active on there also as those things continue to be big. And yeah, just looking forward to what's next for the show. I mentioned Jason Jones, who was on our show before. We'll be back on our show again in the near future, and more great guests will be on the way as well. So we're keeping things rolling here, and we definitely appreciate all those that join us on the journey. So yeah, another episode in the books. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Subscribe to the show and all of that. And yeah, we'll see you guys again next week. Appreciate you guys. Peace.
Deuces.